Thank you for checking out crypto.chartguys.com, the source for technical analysis in the cryptocurrency world. We are proud to announce our own crypto alert system designed to give you the most critical technical trading information possible no matter where you are. Keep your eyes on the market with mobile or email alerts for MACD crosses, RSI levels, and even inside bar alerts for dozens of coins across multiple exchanges. New features and proprietary ChartGuys indicators are already in development. Our alert system is very easy to customize and utilize, so don't hesitate to sign up for the most effective crypto trading tool on the market at crypto.chartguys.com. Hey everyone, hope you did well over the past 12 hours. Tons of oversold bounce plays. That is my bread and butter and my favorite kind of play. And when we have days like this, I certainly make way more than when we have blue sky breakout. It's just my style and what I'm comfortable with, and also the speed and rate at which these gains occur, and don't have to hold, multiple days to see a breakout take place. These oversold bounces give those kind of gains in a very short amount of time. So far it's looking like Bitcoin Cash and Litecoin are leading the way in terms of size of the bounce. We have Litecoin Cash going, or I should say Litecoin going about 100%, and we had Bitcoin Cash going about 95%. Huge opportunities. There is no better feeling than being all cash and watching the dump that that you've been cautious of anticipating. In a very unsustainable move, we have now pulled back significantly and reset things. We flushed out a bunch of weak hands. People bought the dip. People that were looking from the sidelines and not wanting to chase. We have a new must hold level on the weekly, 10,400. Daily time frame, you can see the bulls bought the dip significantly, and although we dipped well below 14,000, we're going to close above that level with a big time bullish reversal hammer. So after this was our 6th red day in a row, but no longer, it is now green, and we have a bullish reversal hammer forming and a volume climax. So we're looking at this to be the bottom, and we're looking for the bulls to recover back to the $16,000 and $17,000 range. That being said, we are going to be looking for a lower high to form on this bounce. And why I say that is because we took out all kinds of higher low support. So when you lose the higher low pattern and you dump, you then look for a lower high to occur on the bounce. So I would not be surprised to see an equilibrium pattern play out where we bounce, we run up, we set a lower high somewhere around 18,000, we pull back and we set a higher low, and watch the range tighten up, the volatility and the volume all to tighten up as well. That's what I'm looking for to happen. On the 4-hour time frame, it's looking like our top is going to be set shortly. And I personally have been locking in profit on the way up and then reloading and locking it in again. And just because when you see these kind of gains in such a short amount of time, I'm going to take that every time to avoid any other kind of fear. We had GDAX lock people out today at a very odd time. It wasn't any kind of volume climax or crazy things going on, but they locked accounts up. That scared a lot of people. So I personally have been locking in gains, and we are going to be looking for Bitcoin to set a lower high here on the 4-hour time frame. You can see we did have a little bounce attempt here at 14,700 that we broke, but the real major resistance for me on this 4-hour time frame, which is clear lower highs and lower lows, is the most recent lower high here at 17,365. So that is our resistance level to be watching. Anything under that, I would consider a lower high. Then we're going to look for a pullback and the need to form a higher low, and then we'll look for a bullish MACD cross and a bull break of this tightening pattern that hasn't even started forming yet. Inside bars have been giving beautiful signals. Look at this 4-hour inside bar bear break. The alert went out at 13,256. We then dumped down about 30% from there. And then we had an inside bar bull break. That alert went out at 13,600. And here we are up almost $2,000 above that level with the bulls in full control at this point. If we look for the lower high to be set on this 4-hour time frame, we're going to look for the hourly higher low pattern to be lost. Most recently, that was 14,200. We're well above that level right now, and the uptrend is not at risk of being lost. We broke the lower highs on the hourly, so when we do consolidate, that's why we will look for a higher low to form on both the 4-hour and the hourly time frame. So I'm very cautious at these levels. Again, I just traded Litecoin. Litecoin's been my horse on this pullback, and just did my 2017 numbers, and Litecoin is by far my most profitable name. And if you were watching these videos back in May, June, and July when I first started making them, well, I couldn't make money in Litecoin to save my life. And I was making way more in Bitcoin and Ethereum, and things changed once Litecoin really got going and hit new all-time highs and got over, triple digits. that's when things started to change. But these days, it is my most profitable name. And a member made a good point. If you trade stocks, you're familiar with leveraged ETFs. And what a leveraged ETF will do is track an underlying commodity or whatever it is. So let's say you have oil trading and you have a leveraged ETF for oil, and they have 3 times leverage ETF. That means for every 1% up or down that oil goes, this ticker is going to go up or down 3%. It just magnifies the move to give you more risk, more reward. That's essentially what Litecoin is for Bitcoin in these correlation moments. The bounces are way more significant and the dumps are more significant, but they are correlated tick for tick in terms of how they are moving. And when I was trading this dump and making all kinds of move, I probably made 10 trades in the last 12 hours. But while I was doing that, I was literally just staring at the Bitcoin chart. I was staring at the Bitcoin chart and the Litecoin order book. That is how I was making all of my decisions. I didn't even need to look at the Litecoin chart. They were so closely correlated that Bitcoin made the decisions, and I was just watching for positioning in terms of sizes of orders on the order books for Litecoin. So where we stand right now, bulls in full control. 15-minute higher lows could be another gauge. If we lose this level, 14,200, then the higher low pattern will be broken, and we'll be looking for consolidation into the night because, again, this 4-hour chart is a bit unsustainable in terms of the magnitude of the bounce. Keep in mind that although we did dump, we have now bounced over $5,000 in just a few hours. So bulls will run out of buying momentum, in my opinion, in the overnight period. And the question is going to be, how high can we make it before that occurs? So again, protect those gains because in my opinion, we will have an opportunity to reload on a 4-hour higher low after some consolidation of this most recent leg to the upside. We had a really nice delayed signal. And this is what I've been doing in terms of just exiting, locking in profit, and then reloading a little bit cheaper. You know, obviously, if I were holding the whole time, I'd be making more gains. But in this kind of trading environment, there's no way I'm going to go all in on a position and then just sit on it. So on Bitcoin, here was the clear break. Look at these multiple tops at 13,600. As soon as 13,600 broke, a lot of buys came in. Had some people that were asking about an entry, and I said use a stop entry over that level, and that would be a entry point if feeling like you're already late on this move and chasing. When you have a double top and then a clear break, that's the kind of follow through you get. So nice follow through for the bulls, but again, very cautious of some healthy consolidation. Weekly time frame for Ethereum is a bearish reversal candlestick. So we're going to be watching for potential further consolidation. The daily chart, same thing in terms of dumping down and breaking all kinds of key support, but the bulls closing well above any supports. So that is keeping the bulls in control in terms of, you know, no all-out dump and all-out disaster. We bounced from 460 up to 730 at this point, and that is a $270 move. Huge gains for those that were playing the dip. So checking in on the 4-hour time frame, we had an inside bar. Look at the same thing, same exact pattern. Inside bar bear break on the 4-hour time frame at 625. Inside bar bull break, the signal was at 655, and just like that, $90 to the upside on that signal of the inside bar breaking. Hourly time frame, and again, just visually looking at this, you say, okay, we have a really strong bounce. We're going to likely set a lower high. The odds that we see a V-shaped recovery right back to the all-time highs are so very unlikely. And you look at this hourly chart, and you can see we haven't established a clear base of support in the last 4 or 5 hours or so. So the last real support that was established was down at 591, and then again at 606. Haven't established anything from there, and looking for, again, hourly consolidation and a higher low on the 4-hour to form as we're watching for these MACD crosses to make their way into tomorrow for the potential bullish cross. Litecoin, all kinds of volatility the past 2 weeks. The daily chart, same thing, losing the higher low pattern, big dump, but a long lower wick of bulls buying the dip. We bounced from 144 up to 300, over a 100% move. Looking at the 4-hour time frame, inside, actually we didn't even have an inside bar break bullish. We had the inside bar bear break signal at 230. That would have saved $90 off of the dump. And then we had follow through for the bulls. Next major resistance is 303.47. So let's just go over some resistances at this point. For Bitcoin, anything under 17,365 is a lower high. So we're going to be looking at resistance of 15,500 and 16,000 psychological. For Ethereum, I'm looking at resistance here of 757, and looking like this lower high might be forming right now. It all depends. Look at this inside bar bear break signal. That signal goes off at 7:25 on the 15-minute time frame. But just watching for clues of consolidation, very healthy and normal at this point on the 15-minute. Lose the higher low pattern on the 15-minute time frame, set a lower high and lower low, and that's going to be convincing to me that the 4-hour top of this bounce is in, and we're going to be consolidating. So in the video yesterday for the game plan, I did a little live video as we were about to get going, and I was looking at the potential of volume climaxes and breaks of key psychological support levels. I was using Bitcoin as my guide, and I was using the $14,000 mark as my potential entry level. And I was making these trades on the way down and getting in too early, but being very protective and locking in profit on the way. So if you go back and watch that video from yesterday, it played out exactly as anticipated in terms of the first break, and it gave an opportunity for some really nice profit where we broke 14,000 as anticipated. And once that broke, that was my entry signal to start scaling in to Litecoin. So we had a bear break on Bitcoin correlating with a bear break of 275 support on Litecoin. So here we are here, and I was scaling in down. We dropped all the way down to 202. At this point, I made an initial entry and sold. So how I knew to sell and to bail on the trade, I bought in on the first dump, and I bought, scaled in my orders, and they were pretty tight scaling, skipping maybe $2 or $3 every order. And then I scaled out initially about a third or a half of my position just to be cautious, lock in that early profit real quick, and then that gives you some headway in terms, or I should say some wiggle room in terms of whether or not you're able to exit with already some profit on the table. So if you exit for the other half with a small loss, then you're break even and you get to reload cheaper. When we entered this kind of oversold conditions, we know that we're going to bounce eventually, unless there's some, the US government bans all Bitcoin and all exchanges. Unless that kind of news comes out, we are going to bounce every single time. It's just a question of when. So I'd use my strategy that I've talked about in the past, where I will do my best to get a position. If we're going to drop back down and head to lower lows, I exit that position and then reload again, because eventually those little losses won't mean anything once the bottom is hit, because we know it's going to be such a significant bounce when these conditions get this oversold. So the way that I knew to exit my first trade, I was watching Bitcoin on the 2-minute time frame after its first break of 1400 and then its recovery. And what I was looking for was a 2-minute equilibrium pattern, and I use the 2-minute time frame when things get really overextended in terms of the volatility. It allows me more details, essentially. So I made my first entry here on the flush, where we dipped down to 13,600, and it looked like that was exactly what I was looking for. And okay, let's try and get this oversold bounce now. So I scaled out a little bit on the way up, and I'm referring to my Litecoin trade, but I was just watching Bitcoin the whole time. Scaled out a little bit. I held half of my position watching this equilibrium pattern play out. In this equilibrium pattern, we had our dump, high of the bounce, higher low, lower high, and as soon as this candlestick formed, I exited my other second half of the position for a small loss, which ended up being a small profitable trade because of my other exit. And again, that just allowed me to scale down. So at this point, I made so many trades last night that it's hard for me to distinguish what was what. But when we were down here at the climax, I could see that we were so oversold, and it looked like Bitcoin was going to go for a break of 10,000 for a climax. I was putting my scaled orders $5 to $10 apart. So I got in at 171.10, 166.10, 161.10, 151.10 was my lowest order that filled. And then I had some cash left, as I said in the other videos, where I keep cash in case we really collapse, or in case I want to buy a market order and help that bull momentum once the bounce really does begin. So I did buy market order at the bottom once I had already filled about 2/3 of my position at those levels I just said. And then from there, quickly locked in profit on the initial bull move. When you give me a bull move that is, $60 in 10 minutes, I'm going to take it. And then I re-enter when we get a bull break that lets us know continuation is coming. And we've had plenty of those bull breaks where it's led to some nice follow through. And again, the trading opportunity is certainly there. If you are struggling, again, this is the hardest environment to learn technical analysis. This is as volatile, as high risk and high reward as it gets. Those of us experienced traders absolutely love this. It is a gift. And the more that this happens, the more opportunity we have. And it is a path to early retirement. If this slows down and we don't have this kind of opportunity anymore, this space is going to get boring real quick in terms of people that are used to this. So a lot of people are just becoming exposed now to the insane world of cryptocurrency, and it's shaking them. You can't lose 40% of your bull move in a few days and not really spook a lot of people. So that's what we have happening. Again, completely unregulated market. It's the Wild West out there. There's all kinds of crazy stuff going on. And the bottom line is stick to the game plan. These oversold bounces that we go in over detail in the crypto course in terms of how to play these oversold bounces, how to read the order book, what clues to look for in terms on when to make an entry. We're applying all of that on this dump. And again, the only way that people are losing money is selling on the way down, panicking and exiting their position, and then being too scared to get back in on the bounce, which again is understandable when that happens. But not only is it such a good skill to know when to stop yourself out and exit a trade, but it's just as important to know when to jump right back in. Because there were plenty of times on this move for Litecoin on the way up where I exited either, break even or for a small loss, including some fees, because things didn't go the way I was looking for, and I didn't want to put myself in a position where, I was in the red and needing a bounce when we're in such a weak market environment. Of course, not at this point after the strength of this bounce, but we didn't know we were going to bounce this strong. We know we have in the past, but again, I'm always going to err on the side of caution. But my point is that I was exiting for some small trades and some small losses, but just like that, I would get right back in at the right signal when we would, break a lower high pattern, and that would be a signal for the bulls. So that's what we've got heading into tomorrow. Bitcoin Cash, let's go over that. That was another of the most profitable moves with Litecoin, where we went from 1550 all the way up to 3097. So essentially a 100% move from the low to the high. So here we are on the 4-hour time frame. We don't have a ton of data because we just started trading on Coinbase, but we have our bounce. It looks like our top of the 4-hour bounce is in. Let's see if it looks this way on everybody. Not so much on Litecoin. Checking in on Bitcoin. So Bitcoin, the bigger the upper wick, the more convinced we are that our high is in. Let's see if BCH is going to be a little bit of a lead indicator. But in terms of support, we're looking at 2,800. If that breaks, we're looking at 2,552. So we're starting to consolidate the 15-minute time frame, close to losing the higher lows. Volume climax at the top right now on BCH. And now the bear volume is picking it up significantly. Look at that volume climax. It's the highest 15-minute volume we've seen in quite some time, many hours, and it's signaling the top of the move for now. So let's see if we're going to start pulling back. Have to lose the higher low patterns on the 15-minute time frame for the big three. Has not happened yet. Bulls are still very much in control of the big three as we head into tonight. So for me personally, I'm done making any trades right now because I do feel that 4-hour consolidation is coming. I'm going to be very patient, and I'm going to be looking to buy in on a 4-hour higher low, or the other more conservative play is to wait for an equilibrium pattern to play out on the 4-hour time frame and then wait for it to break. And again, you don't have to try and capitalize on every single dollar of these moves. These moves are so significant that if we can capture, 2/3 of the move, we're doing really, really well. And 1% compounded profit a day returns huge results. And if you're capturing a move like this where you have the opportunity, 20% would be missing out on a ton. And that's such a big gain. So 20% to 60% moves to 80% moves, that really is setting you up for a very profitable end of the year. So it's been a lot of fun. I personally have been sick and trying to trade in the meantime. I woke up in the middle of the night and turned on my phone after getting some alerts and literally could not see the screen. And it was a pretty helpless feeling as the room was spinning, knowing that, there's immense opportunity right now, and I literally couldn't place a trade to save my life. So I had to wait that one off until the early morning. But fortunately, I woke up right into this dump and was able to scale back into Litecoin and have another big day. So it's been weeks and weeks at this point of only green trades, only green days. The video I did yesterday, I said it's my first red day, but then I stopped the video and played the oversold bounce, and that was no longer the case. So important, again, to know how to play both directions. Not a lot of us are able to play bearish in terms of shorting with margin. As soon as we can, I'm going to put out a course on how to do that and how to profit from bearish entries and pullbacks. But until then, we have these oversold bounce plays. Again, they're my favorite. A lot of people struggle with them because it's a little counterintuitive and it seems a little foreign and a little scary to try and catch a falling knife like this. But history has played out time and time and time again. And again, if you don't have fundamental reasons for a dump like this, you know people are going to be there to buy this dip. So I appreciate you watching. We'll check back in over the weekend. Have a great night.